this is episode 27. In the previous episode, we had covered till verse 15 of chapter 4. This chapter is known as Gyana Yoga. Today, we will cover 7 verses, that is verses 16 to 22. Let's start off with the literal translation of the verses, and then we will talk about some interesting things. I will start off with verse 16, which is Kim karma, kim akarma iti, kavyah api mohita, tatte karma pravakshyami, yat gyatva mokshase ashubhat. God says, what is action and what is inaction? Even the wise are confused or bewildered in determining this. Hence, I shall explain to you action, knowing which you will attain salvation and free yourself from the bondage of ignorance. So I will explain action to you, and once you know that, you will attain salvation. That was verse 16. Now let's talk about verse 17, which along with verse 18 is a very celebrated verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Verse 17 is Karmano hi api bodhavyam cha vikarmana, akarmanas cha bodhavyam, gahana karmano gati. God says it's difficult to understand action. To understand it, you must understand the nature of all the three. Karma, vikarma, and akarma. Karma is action, vikarma is wrong action, and akarma could be inaction or actionlessness. He says it is important to understand and discriminate between all the three because their interpretation is complex and deep. And verse 18 is Karmani akarma yah pashet, akarmani cha karma yah, sa buddhiman manusheshu sa yukta kritsna karma krit. God says those who see action in inaction and inaction in action are truly wise amongst humans. Although performing all kinds of actions, they are balanced and masters of all their actions. So this was verse 18, which along with verse 17 is a very famous verse. Then verse 19 is Yasya sarve samarambha kam sankalp varjita jnana agni dagdh karmanam tamavu panditam buddha. God says, the enlightened sages call those persons as wise whose every action is free from unbridled desire and who have renounced the attachment to the fruits of action in the fire of knowledge or rational discrimination. That was verse 19, and verse 20 is Tyaktva karma phalasangam nitya tripto nirashraya karmani abhipravritta api na eva kinchit karoti sah. God says that people who have given up attachment to the fruits of their actions and are always content and not dependent on anyone are actually not doing anything at all despite engaging in activities. So that was verse 20, and verse 21 is Nirashi yat chittatma tyakt sarva parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvan apnoti kilbisham. God says that one who doesn't desire fruits of action, whose mind and intellect are fully controlled, who has let go of all belongings, performs actions by his or her body, and never commits sin or evil. That is verse 21. And then verse 22 is Yadricha labh santushta dvandva atita vimatsara samah siddhau asiddhau cha kritva api na nibadhyate. God says that those who are content with whatever gain comes of their own accord and are free from the dualities of success and failure, gain and loss, fame and infamy, who don't envy, but who are equipoised in success and failure, they are not bound by their actions. So that was verse 22. And again, these 7 verses are the essence of Gyana Yoga. I would therefore genuinely recommend to you to read and think about these verses carefully. Let's talk about some interesting verses. Let's start with verse 17, which is Karmano hi api bodhavyam cha vikarmana, akarmana cha bodhavyam, gahana karmano gati. The concept of karma is deep and complex. And to understand it, it's important to understand karma, vikarma, and akarma. What do these 3 words signify or mean? What is akarma? Akarma could be being idle, sloth, or not doing anything, but it is also a state of actionlessness. It could also be that you have become so skilled that you are almost in a stage of not doing any action while performing your duties. So akarma could have two forms, that is inaction and actionlessness, which are very different. Similarly, karma and vikarma are different. We have spoken a lot about karma, but what is vikarma? Vikarma is any action which was performed without yoga, or the action that doesn't have the right objective of the righteous battle, or have perseverance or hard work, or principles of rational discrimination or skill, or where senses were not controlled, or where there is an attachment to the fruits of action, or where ego dominates the soul, or where you consider yourself as the cause of the fruits of action. All the above mentioned examples are forms of wrong action, vikarma. These are not righteous actions, karma, which is completely the opposite. So while doing action, if you are not concentrating on the objective of the righteous battle, don't have perseverance, don't demonstrate rational discrimination and skill, and where you are not controlling your senses, are attached to the fruits of action, then this is not the righteous action or karma. Instead, it is wrong action, vikarma. So the three words used in this verse are righteous action, wrong action, and inaction. Karma, vikarma, akarma. And there is an important distinction between all the three. That was verse 17, and now let's cover verse 18. Karmani akarma yah pashet akarmani cha karma yah sa buddhiman manusheshu sa yukta kritsna karmakrit. Those who see action in inaction and inaction in action are truly wise amongst humans. They are balanced and masters of all their actions. Action in inaction and inaction in action. What does this mean? Inaction in action means that even though the body is performing action, the soul is free from attachment and doesn't consider itself to be the cause of the fruits of the action. So the soul is a participant as it enables rational discrimination, strength to persevere, belief in reaching excellence, and despite this, it is free from attachment and doesn't consider itself to be the cause while the body is acting. This, in a way, is inaction of the soul while the body is in action. So this is inaction in action. What is action in inaction? This is excellence. We have discussed an example of swimming. While learning how to swim, a novice always splashes a lot of water, because if they don't do that, the chances of drowning are very high. A novice splashes a lot to keep himself or herself afloat. But as he or she begins to master the art of swimming, they apply minimal action. A stage may come when he or she can float in the water with literally no action. This is action in inaction. When you attain excellence, Lord Buddha attained enlightenment while sitting under a tree. This is action in inaction. The one who understands action in inaction and inaction in action is the wisest amongst humans. This is really the crux of Gyana Yoga. Now, let's talk about verse 19, where God says, Yasya sarve samarambha kama sankalpa varjita Gyana agni dagdh karmanam tamahu panditam buddha. So, one who has freed himself from unbridled desire while performing action and has renounced the attachment to the fruits of action in the fire of knowledge or rational discrimination is called wise by the sages. What is meant by action purified by knowledge? The essence is that action doesn't have a meaning of its own. What is material is knowledge or rational discrimination behind it. Rational discrimination decides if it is karma or vikarma. Without rational discrimination, an action has no meaning. Similarly, inaction also doesn't have any meaning without rational discrimination. It is only rational discrimination which determines if it is inaction or actionlessness. So one who has purified his or her karma in rational discrimination is a sage. This is the essence of 4.19. 17, 18 and 19 are very important verses. They are the essence of Gyana Yoga. I will talk about one more verse, which is verse 4.22, wherein God says, Yadracha labh santushtah dvandva atitah vimatsara samah siddhav asiddhav cha kritva api na nibaddhite. This means that those who are content with whatever gain comes of their own accord and are free from dualities, don't envy and are equipoised in success and failure, they are not bound by their actions. What do dualities mean here? What does it mean by being equipoised in heat and cold or success and failure? Being not bothered by heat or cold doesn't mean that you can put your hands on fire or sleep on ice without wearing warm clothes, as it would be stupidity. And this is not what Gita says. Gita is not asking you to deliberately expose yourself to extreme heat or cold. God is saying that in such situations, keep yourself dispassionate. Keep putting in reasonable efforts, however, to get rid of the discomfort. You have to perform your action, and rational discrimination will be able to tell you the right action to take. To save yourself from getting pneumonia, you need to evade the extreme cold weather. So, action has to be done. But while you go through that action, keep yourself calm and dispassionate. This is what is the essence of Gita. It is not stupidity, and it is not following the rules blindly. The Buddha also says, pain is inevitable, suffering is not. The essence of Gyana Yoga is that rational discrimination has to be exercised. I keep saying that the reason why I find Krishna amazing is because he is one of the few examples of an influence that I am aware of who talks at length about rational discrimination. So this was verse 4.22, and we are done with today's verses. I will stop here. Thank you.